Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. If you are a returning subscriber, I thank you for your continued support. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I'm glad to have you here. So today I want to sort of dive into where I left off with my story of sexual abuse as a child. I want to carry it over into the two times that I was raped. These both times occurred in my teenage years, okay? And so let's get right into it. After that, I sort of want to maybe dive a little bit into the effects of being molested as a child and rape has done in my life. And I'm going to end the video with an intro to that. And then my next video, I want to have the entire video specifically just for the effects that sexual abuse and rape has had in my life thus far. All right, so it is story time. So with that being said, I will say that once again, I am not looking for a pity party. I'm solely doing this for my healing and for others. If you feel at any point that you would like to leave a comment or you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below, or you can email me at honestlyandrea@gmail.com, and I would be more than happy to read your email and correspond with you. All right. So the first incident of me being raped was, I do not really remember the ages. I just remember being a teenager. I was definitely between the ages of 12 to 15. Okay. So I would say that the first incident was probably around the age of 12 or 13. I had a really sweet friend that I had grown attached to in school. And we became great friends, and she had an older brother. At the time, he was in high school. And I remember him never, ever speaking to me when I would go to her home, go over there to play with her or whatever. And her mother was part of either the military or army. She was in one of the branches. So a lady of upstanding, respected in the community, you know, 2 children, boy, girl. And from the outside, you know, it sort of looked like your ideal home. And so I think my mother may have found some comfort in that aspect of, you know, their mother and her, how she ran her household or whatnot. Comfort in allowing me to go over there, because we weren't allowed to go many places, which is understandable. You know, you just can't trust everyone with your children. And so I was excited because my mom actually started letting me spend the night over at my friend's house. And I really enjoyed my friendship with this young lady. And so, like I said, she had this teenage brother, and he was in high school at the time. We were in middle school. And the odd thing about this story is, you guys, this young man never spoke to me. As a matter of fact, now that I recall, I never even remember him speaking to his sister or his mother. He was very weird. He was very withdrawn. I really couldn't even begin to tell you what his voice even sounded like. He never spoke. He never spoke. Never, ever spoke to anyone. When I would go over there, he would just do his thing. You know, he wouldn't even have eye contact with you. None of that. And so one night, I spent the night over there, and we were in the living room on the floor sleeping, and I woke up to him inserting his penis in me. Now, I don't know how he got my undergarments off, because I don't recall it. He didn't wake me up doing that. I was awakened by him inserting his penis in me and it being extremely painful. Now, he did his business and he got up, Still didn't say a word to me. And he left. And so the next morning, me, when I look back, you guys, my mind was already affected by all the molestation. And so I looked at this as if he liked me. This is what my young mind told myself. And so I was all googly-eyed. I done told myself, this is my boyfriend. You know, this young man he still wasn't speaking to me. I'm in the household. He didn't look at me. He didn't acknowledge me at all. But yet he had just raped me the night before. And so I remember going home, wrote him a love letter, and wow, I literally wrote him a love letter. And that's how my mother found out. She found the letter. And I don't really remember what the letter said, but I remember it asking why he didn't talk to me, why he never spoke to me. I do remember that part. And so that was rape number 1. I was never allowed to go over there anymore or spend the night over there anymore. Rape number 2, I was being what we call in the South fast in the ass. Excuse my language. I was being a little hot ass, and I had snuck out the house to see my boyfriend. Now, at this time, I was probably around the age of 14. I was, probably around 13 or 14, I would say. And I had snuck out the house to see my boyfriend. And his cousin had a van, one of those creepy vans, you know, the vans with the doors that open in the back and got the beds that lay in it and everything. He had one of those creepy vans. Now that I'm an adult, I should have never gotten that van. But his cousin picked me up. We go to his house, me and him. Once again, I'm being grown, so we did have intercourse. And that was consensual with my quote-unquote boyfriend at the time. That was consensual intercourse with him. But when his cousin went to take me home, I remember him going down. I remember at some point, I was sitting in the back, and so there was just the 2 little windows out the back of the van. And at some point, I remember it getting extremely dark. And I look out the back window, and he's driving down this road, a dirt road, and it's pitch black back there. And we end up pretty far off of the main road. And there's this huge barn back there, and he drives up into this barn. Mind you, there's no lights back here. The only lights are the lights to the van. And he pulls in there, and he turns the van off, and he turns around, and he tells me, if you don't give me some right now, I'm going to tell your mom. I'm going to tell your mom that you snuck out. And so he raped me. I consider that rape because I did not want to take part in having intercourse with him. I want nothing to do with that, but I knew that who's to say he would have even told? But my young mind believed what he said. And so I laid down and let him get on top of me, and he did his thing, which I thought was absolutely disgusting, considering that I was just intimate with your cousin. And he got off of me, and he took me home. That was that. Later on, down some years go by. I never told anyone about that. I never told anyone about that because I was embarrassed. I was guilty of sneaking out of the house. I was completely guilty. I had begun to date his uncle at a later age and actually ended up having a child to his uncle. And you guys know he told my daughter's father that I had sex with him. He lied. He lied. And I lost respect from my daughter's father behind that because he believed his nephew. He believed him. I said, no, your nephew raped me. And I actually inboxed him And I called him out on it. I called him out on his BS. But that's besides the point. So those are the 2 rapes. My mom never, found out about the second one. But let's talk about how all of this has affected the way I think. As I'm telling you guys these stories, you can already see how my mind was thinking. This young man who didn't even speak to his sister, his mother, me, no eye contact when I would go to my friend's house. And my mind, after he has raped me, I'm thinking he's now my boyfriend. This is what my mind is thinking at such a young age. Now, we have to remember I had been molested so much. And so something like this had become the norm for me, for my young mind. So I didn't find any abnormality in what had been done to me at that time. So I say all of this to say that if you have been molested as a child, even just throughout your life, or raped, and when you sit down and you think back to how it has affected your way of thinking, that is where the healing starts. Because you are able to dissect and reflect and see where you need to heal and grow and start to change your way of thinking altogether. I had to, because at some point, you guys, I became so promiscuous. I thank the Most High that I do not have AIDS right now. I thank him, because I became so promiscuous as a young adult. I didn't know how to love myself. I didn't know what love was. I thought love was having sex. That's what I thought, because that's what I was used to being done to me. I was used to being fondled and touched, and, men violating me. And so I guess I thought that's what I needed to use in order to be loved. Little did I know it was just attracting the wrong people, and I needed to take time out to heal, to grow, and to allow the Most High to show me how to love myself. And so that is something that I work on daily. That's something that I encourage any listeners, whether it be woman or man. I encourage you to take a step back, reflect, and begin the healing process, because that's where it starts. If you don't take a step back and look over your life and evaluate things and see where some things have gone wrong and where you can twerk some things and change some things, you are never going to grow. It's just not possible. And you have to, of course, you have to have humility with it as well. It takes a lot for me to come forward and share these things with you guys, but I think that it's important, because I know in my community, a lot of people do not talk about these things. It was sort of a, you just didn't talk about it. And I know any African-American people of color watching this, you don't even have to be African-American. Maybe it's in the Spanish culture. Maybe it's in, I don't know, but I know for my culture, this was things you just did not talk about. Okay. You didn't talk about it. And that was the norm. That was the norm. But it's time to break that norm. People need to be held accountable for their actions, because it's not okay. It is not okay to be violated. And I have to reiterate once again that it's not just women that are being violated. It's men also. It's men also. And that's the God's honest truth. It really is. So, I began to, once again, become extremely promiscuous. There was a time where I also cleaned myself, overly cleaned myself. And at the time, I was doing an internship at an OBGYN clinic, which is an obstetrician gynecologist. So they specialize in the women's, private areas. And I was doing my internship there. And I had all three of my children at the time. Well, two of my children at the time were three. All three of my children were already born. And so I had delivered all three of my children with this particular clinic that I was doing my internship with. So the doctor one of the physicians that I was working with, she was familiar with me. Okay. And I remember it was time for my yearly exam. Now, let me kind of back it up a little bit. When I say I was overly cleaning myself, you guys, I would scrub myself raw down below. And anytime that I went to the restroom, I had to wash. Like I was taking at least 5 showers a day at this point, literally. And it was easy because I lived maybe 2 blocks from where I was working. And so I go home, shower, come back. It was that serious. And I had no idea that it was, I wouldn't say that it was wrong, but it was something that I was doing because of what had occurred to me. And so it was time for me to have my yearly exam. Now, remind you, this lady has done my exam for several years now. And she finally said to me, she said, Latasha, that is, my first name is Latasha. My middle name is Andrea. I prefer to go by Andrea. But she said, Latasha, why do you scrub yourself raw down there like that? And I couldn't answer her question. I really couldn't, because I never even thought about it. I never thought about the fact that I was scrubbing myself raw, literally. And I just looked at her, and I remember a tear running down my face, but I didn't know why that tear came out of me. I didn't know where it came from. I didn't know why. And that was when she asked me, have you ever been sexually abused? And it was if maybe somebody had just took a fist and punched me in my stomach. And I let out a wail of a cry, and I just broke. And I cried, and she embraced me. She was such a sweet, sweet lady. She embraced me, and she helped me get through that. She helped me because I didn't know it was I really, honestly did not know I had a problem. I didn't, y'all. I was being clean. I thought I was being clean. That's what I thought. But what I was doing was taking all the good bacteria and stuff from down there. Yeah, I really was, it wasn't helping. Trust me. And so she helped me get through that and helped me to stop doing that to myself. Oh man, I wish I could remember her name. She was such a sweet lady. All of the physicians at that clinic in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, they were amazing to work with. And so, yeah, so that was one thing that was occurring in my life as a result of being molested and raped. Another thing was being promiscuous. I began to drink. I began to drink a lot. Anytime I felt emotional or felt some type of feelings rearing up inside of me, I would have a drink. And I never liked the taste, and I did not like the feeling, but it numbed the thought process. And so this was a bad problem when it comes to healing from anything in your life. You can't block it with drinking and drugs and any of that. What it does is it really just stunts your growth. You become stagnant in life. And I did that for several years. But I had to make a decision to stop because it was time to grow up. It was time to heal. And I knew that it would be painful, but I made a conscious effort and decision to do that. I was tired of being promiscuous. I was tired of being hurt. I was attracting the wrong type of men, the wrong type of people to my life. And plus, I wanted to know how to love myself. I wanted God to show me how he loved me. And I asked him to do that. And he did. He began to show me. And today, you know, I used to be really like, I'm a free spirit. For those of you that know me, you know, I'm a free spirit. I am going to do what I want to do. I'm not the quote unquote social norm. I do not eat fried chicken. I love my cowgirl boots. I like to go to the gun range. I have no rhythm. I can't dance. So all these things that, you know, society has said that is the norm for colored people, it's just not my normal. Because guess what? I was born to be set apart. And that's just how I am. And so we we put ourselves in these shells that society makes for us. And that's just, I feel like it's just an extra stressor, if you know what I mean. For instance, if you the word diet, I can't stand that word. I cannot stand that word because it's already putting stress on you before you even start your journey. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. Let me know in the comments if that makes sense to you. Let me know. That's just my way of thinking, though. I don't like to put myself in a box, you know, because it's like an invisible stressor. It's an invincible, like you're already putting stress on yourself. You know, that's not what we're doing here. Not on my channel. We're going to heal. We're going to begin to heal. And we're going to do it together. We're going to do it together, you guys. I don't want to go too much more further into the effects and, you know, things that have come from me being molested and raped. I want to do a follow-up video, but in the follow-up video, I want to go live. I haven't been live yet on this channel. And so this is something that I want to try out with you guys, and I'm going to need you guys to be patient with me as I figure this thing out. But I want you guys to begin to, you know, leave some comments, questions, interact with me. I would love that. I'm really, truly am an open book. And I encourage, if there are any men that are watching my channel, I'd love for you to interact as well. You know, once again, it's not just women that are affected by this. It's men as well, you know. And so I hope that I have said something today, excuse me, that will help you. That will help you begin your healing journey. We're going to call it a journey because we're on a journey together, and I'm looking forward to it. So with that being said, I appreciate you all. Make sure you hit the notification button so you don't miss out on any of my videos. Okay? I look forward to the next time I speak with you guys. You have a blessed evening. Shalom.